What's up, math scholars and math haters? This is Mr. W. Today we're going to tackle question 40 in the 7th grade math questions that North Carolina released this past school year. We see that we have an equation, y equals 6.75 or 6 75/100ths x, that models the cost in dollars to purchase x pounds of steak at grocery store 1. And then we have a table that shows the cost to buy different weights of steak at grocery store 2. And we're trying to find out the cost of steak at each of these grocery stores and compare them. So in order to do well in a question like this, you'll need to know how to read a function that looks like this, as well as how to deal with proportionality, where we multiply by the same thing every time to get from our left column to our right column. So let's start with grocery store 1, where we have the equation y equals 6.75x, or y equals 6 75/100ths x. If we're purchasing x pounds of steak, then I can be reasonably sure that y is going to be the amount of money. So I buy pounds of steak and it gives me the amount of money that it's going to cost. So what that tells me is that my 6 75/100ths here, this number, is going to be my cost per pound. Scoot that down a bit. So if this is my cost per pound, then that means that I know that it's just going to be $6.75, and I'm done with grocery store 1. Cool. Grocery store 1. So now to figure out grocery store 2, I have to actually do a little more math. Let me use red for this. And I have to figure out, I'm multiplying by the same number every time to get from 2 to 15, 3 to 22.50, 5 to 37.50, and 9 to 67.50, but the question is, what is that number? Well, the idea of proportionality is that I can pick any of these 4 rows of numbers, solve it, and I'll get the same answer no matter which row I pick. So I'm going to go ahead and pick my top row because the numbers are smallest. And I'm going to see that if 2 times something equals 15, then I can use fact families to flip that around and say that 15 divided by 2 equals that same something. Now, whether you use your calculator or do this in your head or whatever, you should end up with an answer of 7.5, also known as $7.50. So that's grocery store 2. So now, let's look at our answer choices. The cost of steak at grocery store 1 is 75 cents less per pound than at grocery store 2. Cost of steak at grocery store 1 is 75 cents more per pound. Cost of steak is 50 cents less per pound. Cost of steak is 50 cents more per pound. So we got a whole bunch of statements that compare this. Let's start by establishing that grocery store 2 is the more expensive one. So anything that says that grocery store 1 is more is out. So that gets rid of choice B and choice D, which means that now all I have to do is figure out the actual difference between 750 and 675, and that will show me what answer choice I really need. So let me plug that in my calculator. 750 minus 675, that's going to give me 75 cents. So my answer choice that says that the cost of steak at grocery store 1 is 75 cents less per pound than at grocery store 2 is A.